Right, we are back and on time, and everything's under control. Troy Harley joins me alongside me. Firstly, Troy, welcome, and thank you for some sense in this show, that's for sure.
Not many dollars though, but a few cents, that's about all. I thought about being on time either.
Absolutely, our names are all over the shot. Have a look at that. I mean, people that don't have the right phones. Daniel Hibbard joins me via Zoom. I might be able to say it's your fault this time, but I won't go there too far, Daniel.
Well, it's just, I'm not technically savvy as you, unfortunately. Obviously, go with the poorer product that you have, but I'm sure someone out there might sponsor me a new phone. Seem to work for one of those footballers during the year, so I might get a new phone out of it.
You're not bad, are you? Yeah, you just cash for comments. Listen to you. I mean, anyone think you've been listening to me?
Yeah, that's right.
And Toby McKinnon up the top. Look at him like a Cheshire cat ready to pounce. He's sitting there. And he knows where he is on the board too because he's been watching himself on Facebook. I said quiet and then I hear the music coming through. So, Tobes, firstly, thank you very much for joining us.
No worries, Paul. Just wanted to check out the caterpillars and see how they look.
Still looking like Groucho.
How has your week been, boys?
Mine's been very good. It was a big day last week, and yeah, it's been a lot of positive comments out of it last Friday, so very happy there, and just another steady week at work. So I've been watching the trots with interest, the Breeders' Crown heats during the week, so yeah, it hasn't been too bad.
We might actually stay on you for the second, Daniel, and I'm sure Toby won't mind you getting more airtime than what he is. Your race call the other day, I've actually got it. What we might do, we actually might throw to it. Tobes has done some great work, but Tobes, I don't know if you're aware of the time, because we didn't go on time, that video is going to have to go late. Yeah, I'm aware of it. Don't you worry about it. We'll play it afterwards. It'll still work just as well, Tobes. Don't you worry at all, mate. It'll be fine. This is a very organised show, you know that. So it's all good, but we would have been right. But I'm just going to throw through the last 500 metres of Daniel's initial race call. I think I might have tipped this one, Daniel. You might have been a little bit reserved on a different horse, but I just got to blow my own trumpet.
I was on a different horse, but every time I called his name, all I seemed to be doing was thinking of you and hoping I could stuff it up. So thankfully we got through it all.
I'll throw to the last 400 metres of Daniel Hibbard's first official TAB race call.
It was last, but the leaders travelling as they turn. 250 to go. If it's to be, it's up to me. Gets away. It's a length and a half in front. Classical music driven along. Fly by Eden to the outside. Bundle of Notes sticks to the pegs, and dropping back then was Twisted Bliss. But it's if it's to be, it's up to me. Halfway up the running, it leads. It's a length and a half in front. Classical music can't get it, and if it's to be, it's up to me will win. Wins it by a length and a half over Classical Music and Fly by Eden. Bundle of Notes was...
And I think it's one of those great names, Toby. I don't know if you picked up on the horse's name, but if it's to be, it's up to me. I think it's just a ripping name because I get my tongue twisted around a lot of words, but that one just comes straight out. It's a beautiful name for me.
Yeah, and it's all been I for you, Paul. I claim this.
They're the words we can say on the show.
How was it, mate? Was it as everything you were hoping for and more?
Yeah, it was really good. I said to you a couple of times earlier on that I didn't really get nervous all the time, but I have to say that there was a bit of a lump in the throat sort of just before the start of that first race. But once I got through that first race, it was like old times back at calling the non-tab Melbourne Cup meeting. So felt really fine. Got through the rest of the card pretty well unscathed, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I was getting plenty of messages and phone calls and everything from the start of the day right through to the end of the day. It was really good.
Mate, obviously the calling's not much different apart from a couple of million listeners to it on tab, but how did you go in terms of adjusting to the throws from Sky Channel, obviously, and also the RSN throws? That's probably more of a pressure in terms of switching from non-tab to tab calling than what actually calling the race is.
Yeah, well, to put it bluntly, I pretty much got thrown under the bus. It was different because I had the headset on with the 967 feed, speaker in the box, which I sort of listened out the sky. So I was to a degree flying pretty blind with that, and it was a little bit different. At one point before the third race, I think John Hibbard was the host of the studio through to me, and I still had 3 minutes before the jump of the race, so I had to talk for 2.5 minutes.
But thankfully I've had good about nothing for 2.5 minutes. So I got through that all right. But, yeah, look, you know, those sort of things happen and you just deal with it, and I got through.
You'll be happy to know, boys, that we've had an audio issue. No one could hear you two talking rubbish. So, Tobes, all your good jokes have been missed out on beautifully, mate. But it's all good. I've fixed it up now. I do apologise to that. But thankfully, we've got some listeners on there that were alerting me to that. So, yeah, we'll be able to hear you boys now. That's for sure. So, yeah, I'll let you guys. Toby has a little bit of a chip at me, a little bit, Daniel, about especially on social media, about me wanting to be a race caller, but I don't think that's the case, because it is a different job, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's you know, basically with the trots, you've got to be on your game for 3 minutes, and you know, it's not easy. I thankfully have been able to get a bit of practice, you know, obviously over the years doing Cobram, and then the trial calling at Shep for the last, you know, 10 months. So that's certainly, you know, got the practice up and got the skills up. So it's you know, it's just a matter of, you know, not freezing when the moment comes, because, yeah, you've only got one, you know, 3 minutes to sort of do the job, and, you know, if you get flustered and lose your way, it can, you know, really make it difficult. But no, I got.
Paul, if I may, I described Daniel's first start as if I had a 2-year-old go out and go that well first win, and you'd just be very excited about the future ahead. Maybe a 5-year-old, maybe it's a 5-year-old, might quite be a 2-year-old, but it's had one start, one win, and what's to come for him.
A few trials before that first start, was it?
Yeah.
The way Daniel...
3.5 years worth.
The way Daniel was scratching his chin there, I reckon he's like, where is this bloke going with this? And you're right in thinking it too, Daniel. Don't worry. That's for sure. It's something I think you got to hone your skills though. Like, I mean, both Toby and Troy, you both called races over, you know, from time to time. But I imagine you guys would be as rusty as hell if you got thrown into that right now.
Yeah, well, the dogs, I suppose, aren't overly difficult. I mean, they go quicker, obviously. You've got the same colours each race, but I'd be backing myself on the dogs, but not a chance in hell of learning the sets of colours for each race for a trotter and a horse for a period of time. I want plenty more practice than just getting thrown into it. Not about Tobe.
30 years, I've called tour picnic meetings back in the late 90s, and I just generally have a bit of fun with it. If you want to have a bit of a laugh at some of the antics at terrain trials on the weekend, Paul, giving a bit of stick to Jason Lee while he hasn't got a chance to give it back.
Rockstar will get you back. You know, it'll just take him a while.
Yeah, he did give me a bit of stick after the races when it's on video for everyone to see.
One of the great things, Daniel, I don't do actually. I don't listen back to anything I do. I keep trying to improve all the time, and the rest, and I take it basically off people's feedback when they make comments and all the rest. So I try not to listen back to myself too many times to critique my mistakes. How'd you go? Do you go back and watch all your videos, or do you just say it's out there and that's it?
No, I do watch them just to, you know, purely for, you know, a bit of, you know, looking at, you know, areas where I'm, you know, what bits I got right, what bits I got wrong, and that sort of thing. I was really sort of keen to look at the trot race, which was the of the day. It had 12 runners in it, and you just sort of, you know, those are the ones where you sort of got to concentrate more, because you want to make sure that you're paying enough attention to all of the runners, and particularly those that are in the market, and wanted to, you know, critique myself to make sure that, you know, what I did was good. You know, the favourite in that race had drawn outside you know, was out the back most of the way. So, you know, just making sure that, you know, from a punter's perspective, you're sort of following those horses, you know, in the market, and making sure that you give them, you know, due comment during the race. So it just sort of goes back and watch. So I have to say I sort of didn't find too much that I mucked up. I think I called one horse in the wrong spot in that trot race, but other than that, I was pretty pleased with went for the afternoon.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Daniel. I've called the wrong horse in the wrong spot in a 2-horse trial.
Well, that's
I was at a Graham meeting in the Hunter Valley.
That's race call.
I was at a Graham meeting in the Hunter Valley once, and,
calling 101.
according to the broadcaster, the same runners went round in consecutive races. All he did was not turn the page.
Oh.
On all Campbell's horses, I just couldn't believe it was in front.
I ran another second the other night, Toads. You saw that, I'm sure. We got a bit of feedback coming back. People are happy that you can hear you boys as well. But if anyone wants to chime in with any questions at all, we'll be talking a bit of greyhounds in a minute. And I did have a picture going up for the New Zealand Cup. Did you guys see the New Zealand Cup, the start of the New Zealand Cup at all?
Yeah, I did, and it wasn't great. But a bit disappointing for all involved, and there's obviously some the first take and then the second take, and it's just it just wasn't good. It wasn't good enough, and it was really disappointing for racing fans particularly.
It's one of those races you sort of watch it sometimes, and other times you're not sure, and you just watch it for the sake of it. But I actually tuned in to copy that because Merv Butterworth actually owns the horse, so I got a little bit of a connection there, and I was keen to watch it and see how it'd actually go for Merv on the day. And you just felt sorry for him when you saw that second, and he actually stood, whereas the rest of them were, they weren't at full pace, but they had a fair bit of speed up, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know what the answer is. There's obviously got to be, we obviously have the sort of the issues not to that degree with pacing races because we don't have them stand starts in the paces at the moment. But I think we've got to work out a better way of doing those stand starts. I think they are important for the game. As a different way of different tackling races, but we need to make sure that the method is done correctly, and everyone knows what's going to happen at the start of a all higgledy-piggledy, and some horses getting the fly and others getting severely disadvantaged.
Yep. Toby, you've got some stats, like you've had some stats over the years on stands here in Australia, and how they were demised from having so many to so few all of a sudden.
I can't remember the top of my head, Paul, but the last year we had so something like 45 for the year, and about 15 of them were Cups races. So I think that's the inherent problem. There's two things I see with it. One, we don't run. Two, the old breed of horse wasn't as bred for speed, like stand start horses over the year, and they didn't go to stud and get hundreds of mares go to them because they were good stand start horses. We went to horses like Classic Gary that were fast, and inbred horses that were fast and pacey, and those horses, they're not about standing around and waiting, they're about getting going. Yep. So I think we've bred that ability to stand start them out a little bit, or what the solution is. So,
and I said to you the other day too, Tobes, that one of the issues I find is that when I was a kid, even before I got my trial licence, we were made to go down and watch how the good drivers got them away. I remember going to Kyabram a lot of the time and watching, and names that people won't have heard of, Barry Williamses and those guys that people wouldn't even know who they are. Just absolute geniuses of getting them away from the stands. And I wasn't standing there by myself. There'd be 3 or 4 of us kids watching these guys and learning. Now, unfortunately, if you send them down to the trials, they might watch 2 or 3 trotters going away at a standing start. So that's another big issue, I think, is being able to say, righto, we need stands, but how do we then improve the product as well when we don't have the product on display as well?
Well, I'd imagine it's not just the horse needs to educate, it's the driver as well.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree.
And then when you go to the trials now with the stand starts that they're obviously just mainly for the trotters. But when you've only got them sort of space themselves out on the track to stand wherever they want, and then they just let the take go and they door out and get qualified. It's not the same as a full field of 12 horses, 7 across the front where they've got to circle up and then get up behind that tape. So, there needs to be some, ruling on it just so that it's structured a bit more and, trainers and drivers know exactly what they're expected to do in a stand start.
To get a trotter away too is inherently different to getting a pacer away. That's the other part too. A pacer, you grab the bit and you flick the bit to get them to go. Some of them you don't, and all the rest. But a trotter, you generally let them take that first stride, and then either pick them up or let them go. But you don't touch that mouth for that first 1-2 strides. You let that go and then go from there. So that's the other issue, I think, going forward, that if kids learn how to get horses away from a stand, they're only learning on trotters, and that's a very different skill set.
They've still got those qualifying trial drives from the stand, and that's it. They can only use the trotters to get them away.
Absolutely, and that's definitely one of the issues. Paddy Burke said, build a staggered mobile. Pat Burke is a very smart man. I'll get him to actually build one for us. So we'll see how the great man goes at that.
I saw the post. I'm trying to imagine it, but
don't worry, I'm tipping Paddy's too.
Yeah.
We might go to the greyhounds. Hales, you've had a pretty busy enough, or fairly busy enough week with everything going on in the greyhound world, and that. Firstly, running last week at the Meadows. We caught up last week with Ash, and
Ted Box
100% sure I've got it turned up properly.
I've got it turned up, but I can't hear it.
I've changed back to a different screen that we did have. Everything should be working, so I'm not sure what's happened here. We definitely had sound. And we got sound back now, Topes. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. I apologise for that. We definitely have a gremlin in the system, but they're all back working. So we apologise for the greyhounds there. They might have missed out on a little bit because obviously that feed wasn't working, but you could see it was working. You know, it just didn't want to come through. So hopefully we haven't lost everyone. We do apologise for that, but yeah, we got it up and going. Scotty Manning's sitting there watching us. So yeah, I'm not sure why that didn't work. It should have worked. So I do apologise. That one technically wasn't my issue. And Hales was watching me. He could turn around so I knew what I was doing. The issues I have with this show is just unbelievable.
That's why it's got no name.
That's because no one wants to sponsor us. No one wants to go near us. Cannot blame them one bit.
Have you heard of the 5 Ps, Paul?
The what?
The 5 Ps.
What are they?
Preparation prevents something poor
it was there.
performance.
It was there. It just didn't want to be there, and I still to this minute don't know what happened. And Hales,
Paul,
Hales,
preparation prevents Paul's poor performance.
Thank you very much, Toby. I love your work too, mate. Like Daniel's like going bad.
I'm surprised he's still in the Zoom meeting. I thought by now.
I can do that too, can't I? But trust me, the way everything else is going, it's going to be bad. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see when that actually cut down, at what point it did cut down. So, yeah, apologise. But anyway, we're back up and going. Breeders' Crown this weekend, boys. Have you had a chance to look at the fields? I hope you have, Toby.
Yeah, I have, Paul. And as I don't do tips as such, look at the Breeders' Crown. With a few stats for you. Emma Stewart, Clayton Tonkin have got not day night, which is one less than they did last year when they had 20. And I also had a look, Paul, at how these races sort of, how they come out each year. It's 2 years. And so there's been 16 semi-finals over the last 2 years. Every single leader at the Bell Lap, 5. The leader of the run 10 occasions and placed 4 times, and no horse has ever led from gate 5, 6 or 7 in the 2 years. 7 occasions of the 16, the leaders won, and the horse on the leader's back has run second. No horse has ever won from the leader's back, and the only horse that sat parked in the death seat or the chair and won a semi-final was a little horse called Ride High, who just ran a little bit. So the formula I'm giving you, because I can't tip, is to look for horses draw 2, 3 or 4 that are going to lead, and they're nearly guaranteed to run a place, if not win.
It's probably not a bad fight, but that's a little bit of harness racing form too. Daniel, you can tip. How'd you go with your form, mate? You actually can't. I'm going to bring that up, actually. Last week's tips, mate. That's it. We're not putting a slide up this week for your tips.
Hey, I got 3 out of 5. Out of 5. Now, come on. Come on. One of the one of the first no good, but then each of the 3 meetings I tipped, so I couldn't have gone too bad, surely. Very hard.
What did you?
Yeah, they're great semi-finals, and I've just sort of written down, going through each of the divisions. And Ladies in Red's just been a revelation this year, and I know it's on the outside of the front row. It's got to be really hard to beat, and expected to press forward from that draw with David in the cart. And obviously the second semi-final, another shorty in Tough Till, Emma Stewart and Kate Gath. So those 2 are clearly probably the top benchmark 2-year-old fillies. And, if for the final, it's going to be the barrier draw will certainly play its part in that division.
Also like Tough Tilly, you got to feel sorry for her a little bit, don't you? Because it does a great job. She just keeps running second, and there's super horses that are beating her. Any other year, she'd be the pin-up horse this year.
Well, she had 6 start race and 4 minors, so it's just it just seems to be the way that is. Actually looking through all of the fields, just going to a side for a moment, just going and some of the prices of some of these horses that are going around on Saturday night, they've won a handful of races, and they're 100 to 1. And how the depth of the horses that are going around in this series for both age groups.
And what else did you find, mate?
Yeah, the 3-year-old filly division, the Majid is obviously going to be hard to beat in its semi, but I really like Louisiana Joe for Juanita Brino. I've seen this horse a number of times at the trials, and it was a really tough winner, and it was really brave in its heat run, and it's drawn the pole in the semi-final, and as Toby's just said, knocked the good barrier form, so I'm expecting her to go really well in the semi. The other semi-final, Beautiful Woman, who we last week has got a really nice draw, drawn the pole as well, and Amelia Rose is obviously going to be hard to beat in that series. So that's a good contest, that 3-year-old fillies division. For the boys, the 2-year-old colts, Beyond Delight and Bar and Banner, I think are both really good chances in the first semi-final. Jack's Hawk, Soho Bollinger and Idyllic have really got a lot of time for Bollinger and Idyllic. They're both I think drawn second row draws, which probably doesn't help them too nice and nice colts. So just expect them to qualify for the final and then be a real threat in the big one. But the most open division, the 3-year-old boys, Lurum Lake has just been a revelation since coming down from Mildura, and massive plunge there. First race for Emma Stewart. It's going to be really hard to beat. Mark Dan, I thought, was really strong the other night. It's run Pacifico Dream, Willie Go West, back of the three that I mentioned. So I think it's the most open of the divisions, and any one of those ones could win without surprising.
I don't mind. Sorry, Topes.
Yeah, just what are your thoughts, Daniel? You mentioned Jack's horse drawn barrier 3, the stablemate's drawn barrier 1, and going back to what I've said about horses leading, Act now is almost undefeated and being very hard to.
It's going to be right in the mix, and as you say, if it does really hard to beat, Jack's Hawk should get that nice little trail, and he might not be able to outsprint him at the finish, but he's as long as they qualify, I guess they're sort of just aiming for that final. They can get through to the final and make use of that barrier draw. That'll be the main aim, I would imagine. 2
horses I saw the other night here at Bendigo. Sweet Louise was just sensational winning. I see she's $4 now. They ran home in 26.8 Hales, and it took ground off, and it was losing ground on the bend because she can't quite get around the turns just yet. And then the Explosives, actually sponsored product too, Tope. Don't worry about me. I've got the Woodland shirt on, mate, and it's by Sweet Lou. You have too, good man. By Sweet Lou, and it is a really, really nice horse to watch and watch for the future. I reckon, like going forward, it's a nice one. But one I just saw there at odds, I actually was looking for him there before, and he's drawn. On Toby's theory, he's drawn nicely anyway. In Jillaby Nitro, he follows out Ranger Bob, who Ranger Bomb, was one of the few horses I really liked from New South Wales on the weekend. I thought he did a good job. There was a late driver's change very quickly, and Alex Ashwood got the drive. I think Dave Moran didn't turn up actually in time, so Alex picked up the drive there. But we interviewed Jason Lee prior to Jillaby Nitro going around, and he sort of put the colds on him a little bit. He said the stable, they weren't sure where he was at. They weren't comfortable with how he was going and all the rest. He went enormous. He was 3 deep for 400 metres, 500 metres early on. $21 there. I reckon, like, again, on the fence, round Melton and Toby Series, like they're going to, whoever finds the front, you'd reckon he's going to be 3 back the fence at worst. At those odds, running a place is a huge chance, I reckon, for a horse like him. And he's a Group 1 winning horse. That's ridiculous odds, $21 for a Group 1 winning horse. 2-time Group 1 winning horse, actually, too. So, yeah.
Paul, he'd be getting No Pumpkin, Daniel Jackal Cross, Ranger Bomb early. Then Lauren Wake will be coming looking for the lead. So he got pegs, and Jason Lee might be just trying to get him into the top 6 and into the final.
I reckon he'll be 3 back, and I might punch you in the shoulder when he is, all right?
That's fine.
Hey, Marie watches this show. Daniel, I've got to work with him on Saturday night. We've got a bit of a gig. We can do a self-promo for 5 6. We're actually going to be working at SEN, me and him. Can you imagine the show?
Oh, it's going to be bedlam, absolute bedlam.
I couldn't agree more.
Will there be any talk about racing at all?
I think there has to be.
Sledge Fest.
I reckon Daniel will be racing around the round to give me one by the end of the night.
Oh, God.
I'm actually going to throw. Toby did an interview for us during the week. We'll throw to that, and then we'll come back just for the end of the show. I'm not 100%. Hopefully, this should work. But you caught up with Greg Sugars. This is the sort of things we're probably going to try and do going forward. This will entice Hales a little bit as well. But I'll let you throw to it, Tobes. Actually, you can have a bit of a discussion about it.
Yeah, no, I caught up with a good mate of mine, Mick McMahon, who's a terrific trainer from the Achille, probably knows him as well. He's just a good, honest bloke, trains a couple of horses, still works a job. He's had huge success, only been training for maybe 5 or 6 winners. He's got a little mare called Lagom, and Mick's the first one to tell you, in the old system, she could have only ever won a week C1, but in the mapping system, the way it worked, she sort of goes around in a week C1 every week. She's won 2 in a row. The quote he gave me was, Greg Sugars put her 5 back the fence, and if it was anyone else driving it, they'd still be 5 back the fence.
All right, we'll
I caught up with Greg at Geelong, and you throw to it whenever you're ready, Paul. Right, Paul, I'm here with Greg Sugars, and last week we had Mick's Masterclass for Mick Gadsden, and we won't change the name, we'll leave it as Mick's Masterclass, but there is a link to Mick because Greg drove a horse called Lagom for a great man from Echuca named Mick McMahon, and we're here at Geelong tonight at the Lang Drivers' Rooms. Greg, first of all, the Lang Drivers' Rooms, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, no, it's a very fitting tribute obviously, to not only to Gavin, but to Graham too. They're a great family, and it's great recognition really for our everyone's great friend that we lost tragically earlier this year.
Now, he would have been proud of this drive on Lagom. If Paul Campbell's any good, he'll have this race going as we're talking. The horse won and led and won the start before, and you were drawn barrier 7 on this night at Shepparton, 26th of October.
Yeah, spot on there. No, I'd like to think that Gav would have liked that and would have driven it exactly the same way. The horse that was in form, it had won its previous start, drawn barrier 1 at Echuca and led comfortably and controlled the race, and this time had to draw barrier 7 and with a lot of speed inside us, so it was going to be a completely different scenario, of course, and we were elected to go back to last and sort of strung outfield, so I took my chances and went to the inside, and I think I was about 5 back the fence as it ended up, so not a good spot when they really dropped anchor too, and sort of thought basically the way the race was run halfway through it, it didn't give us much chance at all. The race sort of wasn't run at a solid enough speed to think we could finish off over the top of these from where we were, and it was one of them strange races that played out exactly how it shouldn't have really, and the further we went, obviously the 3 wide line started down the back straight, I believe, from memory, and I just kept following the gaps as they appeared, which led me to be about 6 wide by the time we'd straightened up, I believe, and got the horse to the outside, and just knuckled down really well, and I could tell sort of shortly after we straightened that this is going to get up, and it was a really good feeling to come right down the outside and get up for Mick and put 2 in a row, so it worked out better than I thought it was going to. Yeah, it was a masterclass drive, so hopefully Paul has managed to put it on underneath and the viewers will be able to see it. So thanks for a moment of your time, Greg, and best of luck over the coming weeks. No worries at all.
And we're back, hopefully with some audio. I'm scarred. I'm mentally scarred, boys. I tell you, it's been one of those days. Hales, we skipped over. It looks like we dropped out a little bit through the greyhounds, but just give a very quick overview of the upcoming races tonight.
The 4-dog race, the Group 3 Sandown Shootout, $25,000 the winner. It has last week's Top Gun winner Shimmer Shine, currently I think $2.40 favourite over Hardstyle Rico, the Shepparton Cup winner, the silver bullet winner from last Monday night at the Meadows, a multiple group winner. It's about 260 or 270 second pick. Christo Bale, a group winner over the 600 metres, ran third in the Top Gun last week, a cracking run. It's got box number 1. It's at $4 and Tiggerlong Tonks, the outside of the field, a ground that's won multiple group races and performed basically at that top level its entire career. It'll go around $8 in a 4-dog field, but Catch the Thief, the multiple group 1 winner, is the first reserve, and Dr. Tucker, the Great Chase winner, is the second reserve. So that just shows what type of race it is. But the 4-dog race and the rest of the card tonight is a 10 prelude to the Melbourne Cup. And the Melbourne Cup heats will be on next Thursday night, and the following Friday night will be the Melbourne Cup final, as well as the Bold Trees distance event as well. So a couple of cracking weeks coming up at Sandown, and we'll have Adrian Scott on the show hopefully next week. He's getting some tweaking done to a hip he had replaced 18 months or so ago tonight. So he's watching Sandown Watchful Eyes, Adrian Scott from the hospital bed tonight.
He might be nervous with the no sound. He might be saying Cambo's trying to sabotage. He's actually. Do you know him at all, Tobes? He's from down your way. No, he's ripping.
Scott Free here.
He's what? Did you say then?
Scott Free.
See, Daniel, you wonder why I said he can only do 3 of his dad jokes.
You've got no hope on Friday night. Whatever night you do it, you've got no hope.
We're doing Breeders' Crown night.
I didn't use me Top Gun one from earlier, Paul. That I sat down Saturday night, watched thought Maverick was brilliant.
It's a shame Goose didn't finish off very well.
Troy's on the same wave.
That's a worry for one of us.
It's a worry. It's a worry for two of us.
I tell you it's a worry. Fronting up here at Bendigo next Wednesday. We've lost the last 2 meetings.
Yeah, how's his form?
2 weeks ago, after 4 races, Junadon and Surrounds have a blackout. No power back on until well after the last race. Wednesday, me being me and half a smart ass said to a couple of boys, geez, I hope we don't get too many lightning strikes today. Sure enough, they're at the boxes for race number 1. Thoroughbreds called off. The boys and girls, the stewards, did a wonderful job trying to get us through, but under the rules, pretty much we couldn't race. So we went home well and truly in time for the State of Origin before without running a race, and pretty much watched the lightning for the next 4 or 5 hours that pretty much called our meeting off. So this week, I'm actually tempted to transfer the meeting somewhere else. It's 3 in a row.
If you want, I can come here and I'll kill the audio for you.
Well, Troy, there was Bendigo for the last race on Friday night.
Weren't we lucky? I tell you, yeah, they wouldn't have been able to run another race, but yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the 3 lights just here alongside of us. Yep. The whole bank went down, and you don't think it's that dark. It was scary to watch them. You were there, Tobes, wasn't it? Like, it was actually scary watching them just come up the straight. Like, if it was really, really tight and jostly and all the rest, I think a lot of people would have really held their breath. But I think the winner was out a fair way. They was spaced out, so it was okay. But, geez, it got dark very quick, so it is a bit scary. Nothing from the voice. Thanks. Leave me hanging.
Oh, no,
leave me hanging.
I sleep. Doesn't worry me at all, but dark.
Ashley. Oh, no, it's Ashley Baker. Is that the same one? Or is that Ash?
Yep.
That's him too. Yep. He's tuned in, mate. We might have had a few audio issues. Ash, just say how good this show is, and don't worry. They do actually a great job, the Meadows, with their social media. I was watching it on the weekend. I thought they did a terrific job. So.
And of course, you're talking about SEN and whatnot. Thrill of the Chase on 7-2 on Sunday morning, back this week. I think it's 4 or 6 weeks worth of Thrill of the Chase. So the free-to-air greyhound racing show that's on during the spring and autumn carnivals, and that kicks off again this week, and obviously did some coverage for the Top Gun last week, and the show's on Sunday morning.
They also saw Dan Malecki's got a new radio show on 927. I think it's called Mile Rate. I think it goes on a Sunday morning as well. So should probably know everything when you're going across those sort of things. One thing I was going to say too, when we're talking about the New Zealand Cup too, they acted pretty swiftly. I see Peter Lamb's no longer working for Addington Harness Racing Track ever. They actually stood him down from tomorrow, and now he's actually officially retired from Addington Racetrack. So that was pretty swift. You don't see that very often, do you? They generally get the carnival out of the way, but yeah, they actually said, "No, you're not even working Friday." So
there was a lot of Twitter, comments on that, on the whole situation over there, and a few news articles and everything like that. So there was obviously a lot of unhappy people with how it all sort of played out, and other stuff that's going on in the background there as well. So I'm not surprised that the decision was made. I think it was probably in the best interest of everyone just to sort of, move on.
Absolutely. All right, boys. I reckon we'll call it a night while everyone can still hear us and see us and whatever else is gonna go on. We should be back next week. Who knows where it'll be, what it'll be, and I reckon it's going to have a new name. It's going to be the show that you can't hear. I think that's what it's going to have to be called, because 3 episodes and 2 of them have just been mares. They've been shockers. So, Daniel Hibbard, where are you calling next, mate?
Trials next Thursday at Shep.
That's it.
Well, that'll be it. Until the phone rings, they know my number, so I'm sure someone will be.
Very good. Well, you'll be on the show that no one can hear next week. Toby McKinnon, I'll talk to you on SEN on Saturday night. Good luck to Melburnians. But anyway, am I allowed to put a cap on the dad jokes?
Oh.
I don't think you're the boss on that one, Paul. So end of the table and pull a cord out, you won't be able to stop me.
I'm so worried where you were going with that. I think Daniel was.
I didn't know.
And Troy Harley, I'll be talking to you. And good luck with next Wednesday, mate.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. If I rock up on Thursday night back here and he's in the fetal position, I know something happened again there. So it's all good. Modern technology. Boys, thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate everyone tuning in. We haven't had a lot of feedback, but that's probably because I haven't been able to hear us. But, thank you, guys. And we'll be back next week, same time, which I think is 6:30 if I get everything sorted. But, thank you very much, guys.